With a possible strike Friday, you might wonder how this could impact you.
Rail moves about 30% of the country's freight, more than any other major mode of transportation, from TVs and cars to food and ag products. 3 News Now reporter Isabella Basco is live in the newsroom to explain the backlog this strike could create.
That's right, Mary and Mark. One expert I talked to says if our rail system shuts down for 5 days, that could take a year to recover. What will take the biggest hits? I took a closer look. The future of freight is looking uncertain if labor unions and rail companies don't find common ground. Who gets affected?
Everyone's going to be impacted very, very, very quickly.
Which industries could hurt the quickest? Iowa State Associate Professor Bobby Martens says we could see impacts in agriculture right away with our local cooperatives and grain elevator systems not having capacity throughout harvest season.
This is not a small disruption that we're talking about. In some sense, a strike that lasts 5 days or longer for some sectors of the economy could be as big of a disruption as COVID was to global supply chain.
One industry already getting hit? Gas. The Association of American Railroads reports railroads account for 60 to 70% of ethanol movement.
If the ethanol plant has to shut down when they could be operating profitably otherwise, that certainly has an impact on the Iowa economy, and it certainly has an impact on being able to produce ethanol as fuel.
Southwest Iowa Renewable Energy's Mike Yerke says their team has been making contingency plans in the case a strike comes into fruition and their ethanol can't be shipped out.
As soon as we get empty cars, we're filling them and sending them back out. And again, that's a stance we've taken here in the last couple weeks.
Each day, Southwest Iowa Renewable Energy makes approximately 375,000 gallons of ethanol, equivalent to 13 rail cars. Time is of the essence here to get ethanol transported.
If we can't ship the product, that means we have to slow down. If we have to slow down, that means we're using less corn from the farmers. So our market isn't as robust as what it normally is if that happens.
As for the rest of us, gas prices could go up again.
Nobody likes higher gas prices.
It's hard for families. It's hard economy right now where people are already struggling and trying to get by, and now this too.
If the trains stop moving, it puts the brakes on almost every part of our economy. And as one union member told me,
well, that should tell the importance of what we do.
And one oil and refined products analyst estimates gas prices could jump 35 to 75 cents if a railroad strike lasts more than a few days. In the newsroom, Isabella Basco, 3 News Now.
Thank you, Isabella. The two major rail companies in Nebraska, Burlington Northern Santa Fe and Union Pacific, are also by far the two largest in the United States. They brought in a combined revenue of over $44 billion last year. 3 News Now reporter John Kipper looked at the data to tell us just how important these two companies are to Nebraska and the rest of the world.
If you see a freight train in Nebraska, chances are very high that train is ran by either Burlington Northern Santa Fe or Union Pacific, with almost 80% of all freight traffic coming from the two major companies. Now, both companies bring in products like coal and items you can buy in stores, and they ship out agricultural products from Nebraska to the western two-thirds of the country. Union Pacific is, of course, headquartered in Omaha and is listed as a top 8 employer in the entire city. Statewide, they report nearly 6,000 employees. Now, while BNSF is headquartered in Texas, they're owned by Berkshire Hathaway, controlled by the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett. They also have a strong Nebraska presence with 4,300 employees spread out across the state. But BNSF ships more annually, last year shipping over 2 billion more carloads than UP. With labor strife, it's unclear when and if that could slow down. John Kipper, 3 News Now.
Because the impacts would be so significant, there's a law for this, allowing Congress to intervene. Our Aaron Hegarty wondered how that works.
Under the Railway Labor Act, Congress can block strikes and labor disputes for both railway and airline employees. For example, Congress could put in place an agreement or extend the period where strikes and lockouts cannot be authorized. The House and Senate are in session and would require more than a majority, 60 votes in the Senate.
It has not reached this point in 30 years.
That's a UNL supply chain professor explaining the last rail strike was in 1992. It lasted only a couple days before Congress intervened.
If this happens, it's going to be a major hit on the economy.
And already having some impact, passenger trains and
anything perishable that would be going on or that has any kind of a shelf life, if it gets stuck someplace, that shelf life is going to expire. So those are the kinds of things that they're already having to plan for or actually take action on.
The local representatives I got a hold of stressed the importance of the railway for Nebraska's economy, but it didn't appear they were ready to say what interventions, if any, they would support. Aaron Hagerty, 3 News Now.
The walkout here in Omaha could come at just after 11 o'clock tomorrow night. We know what an important story this is for our community, so we will keep you updated with any new information.